Welcome back to the Architects Podcast, the TAP. That has a really nice ring to it. In today's episode, we are going to be revisiting what we talked about earlier on about polytechnics and the pathway that polytechnics can get into, the profession of architecture or to become an architect. All right.
In Nigeria, to practice
as a licensed architect in Nigeria. And by the end of that podcast, we concluded that there is no pathway for polytechnic graduates, that's the HND holders, to be a registered architect. When I say architect, I mean architect that can design building of any complexity. All right, before I go any further, I want to introduce, we have a new guest with us, but I want to introduce us that you have been seeing all the time, the normal hosts that you know. My name is Chokode. By my right, I have
Chisum.
And then my boss.
Peter.
And then we have a new somebody, an architect in training that joined us today. Please introduce yourself.
Okay. I am Oriola Akintomide Pelumi. Okay. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
So the reason why Oriola is here with us today is because he has experience in what we're talking about. He was once in Polytechnic. But today we are going to let him tell his story, to tell us how it was, what even made him, decide to go to Polytechnic in the first place, and why he decided to leave, because he left at some point. So over to you, Belumi. Please, I don't know if you can tell everybody, actually.
Okay.
What led to you going to Polytechnic?
Okay, yeah. So the reason why I actually went to Polytechnic was, it wasn't because I wasn't smart enough. Of course, a lot of people have. No, wait. Now I'm coming somewhere. Okay. A lot of people have this misconception about people that goes to Polytechnic.
Yes.
They have this misconception that these people are not all that good. Maybe that's why they go
as
there.
if anybody wakes up in the morning and write Java and put Polytechnic
Yeah,
as
but
his target.
but on a good day, Polytechnic was not my first choice of institution. So there's a choice for university, there's a choice for Polytechnic. But at the end of the day, somehow, the university didn't work out. So, the next available option is the Polytechnic. And then I decided to, instead of staying back at home, I decided to go for that option.
So the reason why I went to Polytechnic is because you couldn't get into university.
Yes.
Simply. Doesn't mean you're not smart.
Yeah, it doesn't
mean
you're not
a
smart.
lot of things could have been responsible for not getting into a university. Yeah.
So you, instead of staying at home, you decided to go to Polytechnic.
Yeah.
Was it architecture that you were applying for in the university back then?
Yes, it was architecture.
Okay. So since you didn't get architecture, you now went for the next best thing.
Yes.
Which is architectural technology.
Exactly.
Was it architectural technology that you did?
Yes, that was what it is called in Polytechnic. In university, you call it architecture, but in Polytechnics all over Nigeria, it's architectural technology.
As if they are the same thing, just different nomenclatures in Polytechnic.
The focus in Polytechnic is more about practical aspect of architecture than in university, where you talk about the science aspect of architecture. So, like when I was in Polytechnic, we do more of hands-on, workshops. So we have workshops on concrete workshop, we have wood workshop, we have electrical workshop, we have mechanical workshop, and we'll go for those training. It's not just class or lectures, we'll actually practice.
So simply put, you were trained as a technologist. Because I don't think anywhere in practice around the world they're expecting the architect to become a mason, lay the blocks himself, do the cabling, even though you're supposed to have an idea.
Exactly.
But that training in the Polytechnic, you see that it is focused towards giving you a hands-on training.
Yeah.
More like giving you a practical
knowledge
for you to be a technologist.
If you say as a technologist, in a way, I will agree. But it's not entirely true, because we still did every other aspect of architecture that we were practicing in, or that we did in university. Yeah. For example, some of our courses are actually very closely related. We did courses on design, graphics, freehand sketching, like what have you, all of those building construction, building components. We actually
and
do those
do
ones.
it every semester.
Not every semester.
Because I can also tell you that people in the urban and regional planning, they offer a course in architectural design. Does it make them architects?
Yeah, they actually do architectural.
It doesn't.
They did architecture.
Does it make them architects?
Architectural graphics. They do.
No, because you are going to work
some
for
point they
an
do one or two
architect
things.
as a technologist. Of course, they need to know what the
Have
architect
those-
is doing.
yes.
That is why I feel they inserted that particular training. So
Yes.
that you won't be a total novice when it comes to the
To
work of the
design and all
architect.
of those things.
And so
Yes.
those in urban and regional planning, so they need to know what the architect is doing. That's
But
why they had to.
I think those ones
take
they
that
actually
design
do it on the surface or surface level. Maybe a semester or 2 semesters they will, and that will be all. But for polytechnic, right from the second semester of ND1, because you know we have 2 levels in polytechnic. We have the ND, we have the HND. The ND is 2 years, ND1 2 semesters, ND2 2 semesters. Then you go for IT for a year, then you come back and do your HND. The same 2 semesters for HND1, 2 semesters for HND2. So after the first semester in ND1, from the second semester, you go into design basically, and they give us the same training that you also get in university. Though it's essential so that because they needed you to be able to interpret drawings, to understand symbols and all of those things that has to do with design, so that even when you become a technologist, you can still be able to work properly in the system without feeling left out in a way.
I just want to ask a question.
Okay.
Did they tell you guys that you won't be architects?
No, they didn't.
So throughout your study in polytechnic, there was
Nobody
never a
told
time they said, as you are studying this course, you cannot be a full-blown architect.
No, there was never a time they
didn't
told
tell
us
you
that.
people that.
They didn't tell us
Are
that.
you sure that? Do you think they will even tell them? Because if they do that, they are demarcating the
Themselves,
program,
yes.
And nobody may want to come and do
But
the
it's a setup.
Jesus.
You
know,
is very
If you
important.
recall the last time I said the problem was with the organizers of the program. And you can now see now that if they are concealing the fact that these guys can't register as full architects from them, it's more like a setup setting you up to just come and enter.
Yeah,
but you're not going to get to where you
Let me
think
ask
you get to.
There's a question I want to ask.
Okay.
You know, when we are doing introduction to architecture, the first year, they will tell you things like, you know, the job of an architect, what an architect is to the client, to the other members of the construction
Professions.
industry. Did they tell you people what a technologist should be doing, or are they telling you people that you're an architect?
The thing is, they would not actually tell you directly that you're an architect or you're a technologist, but
They'll just be teaching you
they will just be teaching
building
you.
services.
And in our own mind, we felt like, okay,
You're architects.
we are architects, because definitely we are drawing plans. So what else can you ask for? And we thought that was just the
At
way.
some point, European students drew plans.
No, I know, but that was the mindset that we had then, and all of us were actually putting in the efforts, the work. Like, okay, actually, we are already architects. So some people are, even if you don't have the informations, because these things are not readily available. If you don't have the informations, you will actually think that by the time you're done with your HND, you can practice as an architect.
Yeah.
So, because nobody is going to come and tell you that, see, after your HND, you cannot practice as an architect. Whereas some people have, even after their ND program, they started getting jobs and they started handling constructions.
Whack.
So, so there's no way you're going to tell those kind of people that you cannot become an architect.
Yeah.
So they just believe that, okay, with my certificate, I can actually practice freely. Maybe the part of registration is what most people don't know about, but the fact that I can practice as an architect, so it's very much okay with them.
So, who told you?
That-
How did you find that? You know,
What was
you
your
left?
What was your turning point from
Okay.
Polytechnic that made you okay
I want to go
to say I don't want to do this here again?
Okay.
I want to go to university.
Okay, the turning point was it happened during my final. Though right from the very beginning, I don't want to go to Polytechnic. Like I said earlier, I don't want to go to Polytechnic. So it's just for me to, like, instead of wasting your
Pass
time,
time. Pass time.
pass time,
Second
just go
pass
here
is
and be
first
doing
is
this.
okay.
So I've always knew that right from the onset that I would still switch. Because even when I was in ND1, I still wrote JAM. I wanted to go to university. I got a course,
Oh, you
but
wrote
not.
down, we didn't use direct entry.
No, I didn't use that entry.
ND1 now. I mean,
ND1, I have not gotten all the result. So I tried again in ND1, then ND2 I didn't try until when I finished the program. So I've always,
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you short. You wrote JAM how
Yeah.
many times when you were in Polytechnic? Before you were-
Just when I was in ND1.
Okay, you wrote and then ND2, the third thing.
Yeah, since I
Now
didn't enter,
mature.
then ND2 I was like, okay, I'm almost done. So why write
Finish
JAM
the
again?
program.
Let me just finish the
now
program.
write-
And
you wrote
then
another JAM.
Yes.
I now wrote another
And you're very
JAM.
smart. Oh.
So I've always I've always been wanting to like go to university. Then when I was doing my final project in ND, I had a supervisor that went to Federal University of Technology, Akure. He had his degree. So while we were having conversation, it was like, Pelumi, don't come back to this school. Because if you come back to this school, I'm going to fail you. Make sure you do everything you can to
Run
not
for
come
your
back here.
life.
That person, he actually helped your life.
Architect Olarewaju. So I already knew in my mind that I'm not coming back to this place. It was like, if you come back to this school, I'm going to fail you. Go to university, do direct entry, just do anything, make sure that you are in a university. I said, okay, sir. That I will try my best to make sure that I do that. And after then, I was already making plans. I actually did direct entry, wrote JAM, so that I can have different options. Yes. So that was how I switched from National Diploma program to
Degree program.
BSC.
You know, you have the two experience now.
Yeah.
Polytechnic
And
BSc.
university.
So
Yeah.
where did you learn the most?
Oh, definitely. I would say I learned the most in UNN because it's a 4 years program, a long program.
You spent more time here.
Yes. But, you know, like in one of the interviews that one of our colleagues in this office had, she said something about maybe having a program, like a 3 month or 6 month program where people that want to study architecture, once they come out of secondary school, they will first undergo that program. They will understand the what it takes or the intricacies of architecture before proceeding. So you will know if I can go through this stress or I don't want to go through this stress. You can easily decide within that 6 month program. So for me, the National Diploma program is like sort of eye-opener for me. Do you still want to do architecture really? Because it was really stressful then.
Yeah.
Do you want to? So it opened my eyes to the possibilities of things that I can do with architecture. And I felt like, okay, yeah, it's good. So for the experience in university, definitely is way better. It's more elaborate and all of those things. Because then let me use our design, for example. We are more of artists, so to say, than architects. We are technologists, we are artists. So we if let's say for example you are doing a site analysis, you've drawn out the sites. So you want to represent the access road. You are going to sketch it artistically. The road, you are not going to draw car. You are going to shade it. So those are the things we are trying to put in our drawings. You draw vegetations, you put the trees, you make everything look like and we draw a lot of caricatures and all of those things. We include them in our design. But when I go to UNN, I know that it's more of research. Your design is more of research based than you just
Trying to express
yourself.
power.
Exactly. Than like the first presentation I saw in UNN was final year. Then they were doing estate design, and I was seeing a lot of write-ups. I was like, wait, where are all these things coming from? Where do you get this in? Like when I will start to do design, am I expected to also write all of these things? Because I was expecting that okay, I will come and then I'll be expressing myself, be drawing things and
yourself for your head.
I saw that it's a different ball game entirely. But at the end of the day, I was still able to learn in Polytechnic and learn more in university. So the two experiences was just a very good one.
From what he has explained, first things, I think students in Polytechnic should be told that they are not studying to be architects, but they are studying to be architectural technologists. It is this lack of information that makes a lot of them come out of the practice or come out of studies and then get into practice expecting to be architects.
They'll start fighting.
Yes, and they start targeting
So
jobs.
They'll start fighting.
And it's unfair.
Yes.
It's unfair.
So it should be clear. So if the person is there, the person is well aware that this is
what
I'm
I'm become.
doing. And then secondly, I think it's also important that the curriculum in the polytechnics is updated, not so that they become architects, but so that they can use more technology in creating their designs and details. So this is not, to be fair to polytechnics, it's not only polytechnics that have the issue. Both architectural schools have that issue of migrating to technology, but I think the burden lies much more on polytechnics, because polytechnics are training people that are working hands-on in the production of designs and detailing of the building and understanding of the rudimental works that need to be done. So I don't think people did a lot of technological
we
design approaches. So that's why I think we should
maybe for the HND program they might probably later introduce them to it, because as ND students you can only become a technician, while what's it called, as HND you become a technologist. Maybe from that level they started introducing them to it, but in ND level there's nothing like that. We're just doing the basic courses.
But how do you become a technician when the skills you have are not needed? What I mean by that is, as an ND student, as an ND graduate, you're meant to be a technician to serve who? The building industry, the architects, whoever needs. Maybe you're even working for an engineer, whoever needs your services.
Yes.
Now you only know how to use S1 and T-square and ink pen, and you can only draw artistic caricatures of human beings and cars and
plans too. You can draw plans.
Who do you consult now for design input that will present their work for approval or anything with hand? No, now those things are.
That's why.
So it goes.
That's why we are advocating for the transition to technological tools. So, for example, if you start your ND, I feel the ND right now should be remodeled in such a way that there must be computer application in architecture right from your year one.
Yes.
You're being able to draft with the system. You're being able to model with the system. And when you are in your HND level, you should be able to now do more advanced modeling, presentation, documentation, and specification.
Yes.
That's what I think.
Yes. From the beginning.
And this is not done.
Yeah, it's not done.
From the beginning, basic things like line weights, wall hash, all those important things that you need to communicate.
Yeah, those ones are part of, because we did graphics as well, architectural graphics.
With hand.
Yes, with hand. So you're going to be taught all of those things. But generally in Nigerian schools, most of the time, they don't even take anything computer-aided design as something very important. So even in university of, so it's just the same thing that is applicable to them in polytechnic. So, but at the end of the day, most students will now go ahead to learn on their own, learn how to use some of those tools, and even your presentation is still going to be on paper, pencil, and using T-square.
This problem is not just a problem with architecture schools. I think even the engineering schools and schools of technology, they have the same challenges. Yeah. I think I was having a conversation with one student who did mechanical and electrical engineering. He was saying things as basic as AutoCAD. They never taught them so. They had to pay all these guys that organize tutorials to get to learn how to use AutoCAD for electrical drawing, mechanical drawing, and the rest they were not taught in school. So it's not just a problem with architecture schools. It's a problem with most schools of technology and engineering in Nigeria. Then there's something I was going to ask. Last time during our discussion, we mentioned something like most schools like University of Nigeria now, when you come into your degree program with your HND, you're almost going to start from 100 level.
Okay. HND or ND?
HND.
Okay.
HND. You're almost going to start from 100 level. Yeah. In as much as they may allow you to join the 200 level class. Yeah. But you realize that you take a lot of courses from 100 level. So you'll be struggling to know which class you belong to. Yeah. But then I want to ask you what you think. You did ND. You didn't do up to HND. But I know you also have an idea of what the HND course curriculum is like.
Yes.
What's your take on where the students should start from if they transition from with HND from polytechnic
to university?
To the university.
Well,
your honest opinion, where do you think they should start?
In my very honest opinion, I would say that if you are transitioning from HND to university, you start from 300 level.
300.
You should have. Why? Because I saw their course outline, what they offer, and is even way more than what um, university students. They did courses on construction management. They did courses on specification writing. They did courses on contracts and arbitration, which is master's level course in UNN, and a lot of other courses like that. So in my own opinion, they are really, really knowledgeable, because there's nothing you want to tell me that HND students is learning in first year and second year courses. First year and second year courses are just basic courses, building components, building services, structures, and we do all of that, even right from ND1. So at that level, you are already way ahead of the curve. You are on par in terms of certificates. You're on par with somebody who is in BSC 4. So even if they are going to bring you back, at least with your level of exposure, with your level of knowledge, with your level of experience, and with the courses that you've taken as well, because we are talking about academics here, you should be able to fit in perfectly well
300 level.
in 300 level, instead of having to go back to maybe first year or second year.
There is a number of years a student that is pursuing a degree will stay in acceptable number of years that the student that is pursuing a particular degree must spend in that school. And I think for universities like ours, that is 4 years.
It's minimum 3 years.
Minimum 3 years.
But then I'm thinking, would it be like more of like a trust issue? The universities don't trust
It's like
what they are
it's
teaching
it's like what happened.
students in polytechnic.
It's like what
Is
happened.
it a trust
It's like
issue?
what happened in school when we were in architecture, in BSC. We were trying to vie for the post of SUG president. But then there's a constitution of the school that states that for a student to vie for SUG president, you have to be in your penultimate year.
Yes.
And you have to be in the school. Now, architecture students in our penultimate year, which is the third year, we go for IT. And that means we're not in school. We just left the school for industrial training. So that means, by that reason alone, architecture students, architecture department as a whole, is disenfranchised from the post of the SUG president. You get? So something like that can happen. And it may not be fair, but it's the constitution. If not, you can see somebody in first year, second year trying to come out and start doing it. Because once you open that door of absurdity, you cannot control what passes through. And mind you, it's not, I think different polytechnics have different curriculums that they teach.
Yes.
There are some that are like similar, but differences.
So if you are considering, but maybe you went to a good polytechnic that is doing all the right courses that they should do. What about those that didn't go to good ones? That will teach you something that is not architecture, like you said, you did specification writing, you did the...
No, I think they are basic minimums now.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just like
the essentials.
So some of those people will come, the HOD will take a look at them and be like, first year.
They offer quite a lot of courses that fits in, that I think a third year admission is considerable.
Concentrate for
Because
them.
they do a lot of, like you have said,
But what we're trying to do, we're trying to get a balance between where they fit in, and if there's a regulation that says you must do a particular period of time before you are awarded a bachelor's degree.
I don't think there's any regulation about, because before,
It's dependent on the universities.
yes,
So like
Another thing is, there a particular unit load of courses you need to do to get a degree?
yes, it depends on the university and the polytechnic you are coming from. So when a student comes in from a specific polytechnic, the university takes the courses
he offered
in that polytechnic and juxtaposes
with the school,
courses in the university system.
And then
and see where you fit in.
Yes, because before the senate of a specific university gives you a degree, they will be sure that you've
Completed the
all
requirements.
courses,
Yeah.
like the prerequisite courses
Yes.
that is required for that degree, and other courses that specific university requires of you. So I think from what we've gathered, polytechnic students, even with HND, do not offer the amount of courses that are specific to the architectural practice that will be required for them to be treated as architects.
And you know, another thing I just thought of now. Third year is when we go for IT, CWES.
Yes.
So they are coming first year, their first semester. The next semester they are going on IT. They need to stay a while, be grounded in the school so they can start going away. I don't know if you understand.
You have a serious point there, because
Yeah.
if you are trying to get somebody into the university system,
Yeah.
it's not enough to just send the person out of the university system
Yeah.
after
In less than 3 months.
Yes.
So even with your HND,
You have to.
You see, that's why I said, could it be trust issues?
I think another thing they could have done to them is that instead of you going on IT, since you've done, because in Polytechnic you actually do 2 ITs. After your ND1, you will go for 3-month IT. Then after your ND, when you finish your program, you go for a year before you now start your HND. So since they've gone for like a year and 3 months of IT, there's no point going for IT when you come to
So
university.
My point is
So
that
that second semester, they can now look for those courses that you've missed out, and you'll be offering it
You
that
notice
period.
there's a gap. We talked about here that they don't stress so much on the use of technology.
Okay.
So I am almost certain that in that your IT, you
You were
didn't actively learn anything because you don't have all the skills you need to learn.
Is it true?
So imagine if they start you from 200 level. You're able to do 2 computer courses, I think for University of Nigeria now, you do 2, then in your third year you do another one.
Yeah.
That's 3 semesters of computer
Computer-aided
training.
design.
It
Computer
gives you some
application.
idea that you need to, arm yourself with as you are going for that IT again. So I don't think it's enough to say you've gone for IT for a year and 3 months,
Yeah, you might
probably
not need.
with little experience in terms of use of technology. Remember, you're trained as a technologist.
But
And
when you are diverting to university, you are no longer trying to be a
Good.
technologist.
Now you need to get at least 3 semesters of
Yeah.
that training before you can now go.
what about
They need to groom you
I
so that you
speaking
can
for
go and
you.
represent the school. Because if you go out there and you don't know what you're doing, they'll say, you were
They will want to take the next set. The next set of students are in danger
they want
because they will not want to take.
Or you
Like
like
where I did IT,
Mm.
they actually stopped taking IT students for a long time.
Period.
They told us, me and my classmates. But then what happened was that they accepted us. We did the IT. We did well. We opened the door for the next
Next group of
so at
people
least
to
I'm
come
sure
in.
of 2 generations of architecture
Students.
students who
Three.
did. I'm sure of 2. I don't know about 3.
I know.
So it's
All four
because
self.
we opened the way. Imagine we went there and we just disgraced
Them.
the department from the school and the school. They won't want to accept the next set of students. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I think I agree with you to an extent. Because at the end of the day, the IT after ND is not really being supervised. It's not like you have a logbook or anything.
Well,
the only thing you need is a letter from the firm where you did that IT to confirm that you actually
So
went
you
for
can
the
get the
IT.
letter anyway.
So the one that requires you to the one that requires you to have a logbook is the one you're going to do when you are still in ND. That's like after your ND1, the 3 months, you have a logbook. But after then, you just go for a year and then you come back.
and that
It's-
3 months was after your ND1.
yeah, immediately after
You
your ND1.
almost, I mean, you've not
I
got
think
You've
it's
not
like-
really got, yes. You've not got
Imagine it's like when you are preparing for a project, you have to be writing logbook for 1 year. That's IT on its own. For them, it's good. So at the end of the day, you now find out that if you can, just
go to
write
university.
your jump and go to university. Or do what Belumi did after your ND. But what he did is somehow, after ND, instead of using direct entry to come in, he wrote another jump to come in.
No. He's good
He
because
did
at the end of the day, he had that knowledge of the ND
Yeah.
inside his
Understand.
pockets.
Yeah.
Then he started from the scratch.
Scratch,
So
yeah.
he didn't miss anything in the.
And
in
it
the
was,
university
I know you,
program.
I know when you entered your classmates, you were pushing them.
He'll be
Something like that.
You'll be showing them how
You have to,
be
you
on
have
top
the
of the
experience.
He'll be on
You
top
have
of
to
the
show your
food chain.
experience a little
showing
bit.
them
You'll be on top of the food chain.
like Thompson and Alagbosa
You'll be on top of the
and
food
things
chain.
room.
you see
They have-
the experience.
Like
Yes.
Otisi that has gone through HND and came to our class.
In my class too, we had one guy from my class. He went to Polytechnic, but I don't think he got up to HND level. I'm talking about the guys that started with us from first year, not people that later came to join us
in
as
second
direct
year.
entry. That time when we were doing descriptive geometry, the guy was the person that used to, after we had taught descriptive geometry and we were given assignments, he's the guy that used to take the class on extra classes on how to do some of those things. He was like on top of the food chain when it comes to hand drafts.
I guess there are some benefits to it.
Yeah, actually, there are.
It's not a waste.
No, if you go to
Yes.
a good polytechnic, You will make a better architect if you
Yes.
decide to study architecture.
Yes.
But even if you don't decide, even if you don't study architecture, the issue we have in Nigeria is the stigma attached to polytechnic
Exactly.
graduates, that they cannot. Many people have asked this thing in a federal civil service. Even if you have a HND person with a lot of years of experience, the person cannot progress
Beyond certain
beyond
levels.
Level, I think level 14 or so.
It affects
Yes.
people with
HND.
So for me, I think what can happen is this: the promotion cadre for such people should be restructured, separate from that of an architect, so that their levels of promotion is not truncated at a certain point. Because right now they can actually head other departments and not make them impossible, not make it impossible for such a person to head any department at all, as long as an architect is there. So that's what I
But for me, what I'm thinking is the system is a system. But the system should enlighten people
Yes.
before you make your choices. There's no need to enter there and you now start fighting a system
change
that's
the
already
system.
in place. Why not get the information right? Then you cannot decide if I want to take the polytechnic route, knowing that I'll have a cap when I actually enter into civil service. And like compare it against going to maybe a university and getting a degree, knowing that you have no cap. So I think it's about enlightening people on what each route will take you, where you're going to end with each route, so that you can make your decisions on time. When you get there and you start fighting, it's as if
already too late.
Yeah, and I think there's some benefits to it too. Is in as much as you are not getting to the level that architects will get to, it means that the level of risks that you are exposed to too might be lesser than that of the architect. When things now happen and they are looking for who to catch,
They'll
they will
catch
catch the person that's there. So if you're someone that don't like taking risks, maybe. But if they put everybody on the same level, who is now answering to who is responsible?
Well, what me I would suggest is like what they normally do before. If you finish from your HND, you should be able to, maybe they should introduce a program, like a PGD program.
And that's 1 and 2.
PGD, that's for the exams. Like a PGD program that you can take for a year. Within that 1 year, you're able to learn everything that you need to, maybe the things that you've missed in your BSC years. You can easily learn those ones and then proceed to your masters and then write professional exam.
But were there ever a time that they were doing that PGD?
Yes, there was a time they were, but I don't know if it's for architectural students. But from HND you can write PGD.
the PGD I
program.
know about in University of Nigeria were mostly for
People
students
with
who
them,
couldn't make certain CGPA from degree.
University, yeah.
I don't think there was ever a time,
No,
I
there
may be
was.
wrong,
There was.
where
I know people that did.
that program was prepared for HND
HND
students
students, yeah.
who want to do masters.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The people that did, are they registered?
Not architecture, not in
Okay,
architecture.
okay.
So what I'm saying is, in architecture now, there should be a program. It might not be PGD, but they can introduce a program, sort of, that you will take for a year. Within that 1 year, you are going to learn all the intricacies of.
But the problem is you can't learn everything you missed
year.
within 1 year.
You want to die?
No, wait. You've done most of these courses. There are a lot of similarities between what you did in Polytechnic and what you did in university.
You know
it's
the-
just few things that you missed out.
You know the
and
thing
within
now-
1 year, I believe you can learn. Even if you're offering like 10 courses per semester, within 2 semesters, you offer 20 courses.
You know the
which
thing
is
I'm getting from this conversation? You said in HND, they must have taught those HND students courses that are done in master's level in university. Now, remember, they are preparing students who pass through the polytechnic route to be technologists. So you also need to have an idea of what the architects will be doing at that level. So you wouldn't say the information you have from there is enough for you to
practice as an architect.
So that's why I feel the university has done it in such a way that after your ND program now, you've gotten all the information you need to be a technologist to work for the architect or work under the architect. Then you now want to get to become an architect this time around. And you need to follow the university arrangement structure for becoming an architect, because
then come back.
the differences in what you are being taught, even in the same course, may come to light. Like you said, they never told you in school that you are training to become an architect or you are training to become a technologist. They didn't make that clear to you. But in university, they're going to make it clear to you that they are training you to be an architect. and they'll let you know what you need to know to be an architect.
So we have said this before, let me say it again, just in case you didn't watch the part one of this, of this topic that we're discussing now. There is no pathway.
Of course.
As of right now that we're having this conversation, that a polytechnic student with HND, OND, whatever they give in polytechnic, whichever one you have, can become a registered architect in Nigeria.
Yes, definitely.
The people that I think they went to court with
after much fight. Nobody wanted to fight again.
I think they just granted those people
few number of persons.
And it was a very long, it's not 2 months or 3 months, it's a very tedious, long process. So I think if you are trying to make a decision now and you want to be an architect to practice as a licensed architect in Nigeria, university is where you need to go and study.
Definitely.
But if you want to be a technologist that assists in architects in a lot of ways, you understand, or other engineers, maybe what they teach you guys, I heard you when you said you have a mechanical lab, you have
electrical workshop, wood workshop,
so I think
concrete workshop.
Technologies is for the AEC industry.
Yes.
So if you want to be in that assistance, do your work, get your pay, go home, rest, sleep.
It's fine, which is also in demand in the society.
It's in demand, okay? If only they can just put in more technology in the technological. You guys are learning architectural technology. Technology, as we know it in the architectural industry, has evolved. It's no longer hand all the time. Even the university that we're talking about, the MSc, which I don't know whether they use computer in the HND level.
Yeah, they did. From the course, what's it called? Course outline. They have a course on computer-aided design, rendering in 3 dimensions. They have a course on advanced computer-aided design.
What about designing with computer? Did you design with computer?
I didn't do HND, so I didn't know.
Okay.
I want to know. So and this they did this in HND 1. They did in HND 2, but I don't know what the course content is like. But that's the course title. Those are the course titles. Right. So at least they started from HND 1 first semester, second semester, and HND 2 first semester as well. And those were the 3 semesters where in HND 2 second semester, there is a course on building information modeling, BIM.
Okay.
In second semester of HND 2. So it's now to know the content or what the courses, what they are actually taking them in those courses.
It's all good and fine. But then the fact still remains that
to become registered architect,
give you the ability to
become registered,
and licensed architect in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So to save yourself the stress, you know what to do. All right, I think our episode is getting
so just before we go, since he has had the first-hand experience, what is your advice to people who are in polytechnic? I mean, you should be talking from the point of experience.
So my advice would be that if I were to be a lecturer, let's say in polytechnic, I would first of all make sure that I let my students know that, see, this place you are in, you cannot become an architect. You can only become a technician or a technologist. So if you want to follow that route or you want to follow that path, then we know that it's your decision. You are not being deceived. So that's one of those things. And I feel there should be a course like we have a university that introduces you to architecture that also lets people know that this is what you are going to become if you follow this particular route. But based on my own personal experience, I'm going to definitely advise anybody or everyone that is doing ND program or HND program that if you have what it takes you should switch to university and do your degree program, especially if you want to become an architect, because it's very necessary for you. So do everything that it takes. If you finish your ND program, either you take direct entry or you can start from the scratch, write JAMB again, and make sure that you get into university and do your BSC program, do your degree program, and then follow the necessary step to become a registered architect and practice as a registered architect, not as a quack, which is what most polytechnic graduates, they do. So that would be my advice to anybody that is undergoing national diploma program currently.
Yeah, and it will do you good.
A lot of good.
Because the knowledge you gain, as you have heard from polytechnic, is not going to be a waste. You will still apply them. Okay, but the issue of being a quack or being a licensed professional is not just about the knowledge. It's a legal matter too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to get your everything, ethics, everything properly the way they're supposed to be, so you can qualify to take the necessary exams that you need to take. That when you emerge successfully, at the other end, you will not be given your license with which you practice, in Nigeria. All right, so please, that is it for this episode. I don't know if anybody has anything other thing to add.
Not really. The only thing is, to professional architects,
yes,
we must find a way to balance our work in such a way that both people that have HND, OND are able to work together on a project.
Yeah.
So the issue now is the professional architects actually do all the work sometimes. And a lot of architectural firms also have the stigma against HND graduates.
Yeah.
So we as professional architects, we sometimes push out the HND graduates to go and practice by themselves. And at our meetings, we start shouting that there are a lot of quacks in the industry.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, if you go to a lot of firms and ask them, do you have any
HND
graduates? They'll say no. In fact, if you go into a firm with HND,
they'll most likely not take
you.
you.
Just stop you at the door and send you away. So we have a duty as professionals to also incorporate. It's like doctors saying they are not going to work with nurses and they are not going to work with anybody. They only want doctors in their firms.
Yeah.
So I think it's even the reason why a lot of firms don't have a lot of staff, because they don't fish out into the wider employment basket of the polytechnics.
Yeah. Well,
So
maybe
we are somehow guilty. We don't have any.
Any HND. I think
it's
it's
on both sides, because I've not seen any HND student or OND apply.
Yes, we are not guilty. I don't think we've ever seen
Apply
any
to-
application.
they probably given up on
I've
their.
Received, though.
I've been
I've
in
not
3
received. though.
offices
Since we
since.
started doing recruitment, I've not taken.
I've
seen
not seen any
anybody
OND
with
or
HND.
HND.
HND
All the
people
ITs
apply.
they have been doing, I've not seen anybody
not seen them
apply
apply.
to any office I've been in. So I don't know how we are supposed to. Are we now supposed to go to
Do
their
they
school?
No,
apply
you're not
back
supposed
in
to reach
the-
out to
Give
them. They will be the one to reach out.
No, please. Let's not, please. Are we not supposed to go to their school and give them flyers? No.
No.
They'll
It's
be
not
the
done
one
that
to
way.
come for the IT.
I think most of them already have this mindset that big firms, they are definitely not going to accept me because of the degree. So they probably go to those smaller firms. Like when I did my IT, I went to my uncle's firm, which is not like big in quotes. So, you already have this mindset in your head that, okay, there's nothing.
It's the school that is doing it, though. Because if there's a type of firm you do your IT in the university, they will make sure that you feel very well. And units for CWS is not something you want to play with.
Play
so
with,
you have
yes.
to go for the best
Firms.
or the best where you're going to actually learn something. You understand? So if the polytechnic is holding the students accountable and responsible, that
Go to good firms.
good firms, they will go to good firms.
Would
Would they accept them? Have the role to play to accept them?
Yes.
To accept
Yes,
them.
they will accept them.
Let's hope so.
The IT students we are accepting, we are not accepting them because they are coming to help us per se. It's because we have accepted it, we have put it onto us that they are coming to learn.
Let me.
It's the civic responsibilities
Yes.
of these architectural firms
Yes.
to accept students. So
We'll take
I
them in
think
and
any
we'll teach
firm
them.
that is with ITF is obligated to accept IT students
Yeah.
at whatever level. So like now in our office, if we have a submission from a student from ND or HND, we're not going to turn them down because we are ITF compliant. So it's our civic
We
responsibility.
should at least, we will at least consider them. Okay, consider them. It's not that anybody that, both from universities, not everybody that applies will get the space, but they will all be considered equally.
You can give a
Fairly.
quota.
That would
if
be.
if
that
you
would
are
be-
getting regular
From
ND or
poly.
HND application, you can give a quota. It's okay.
Yes.
This year I'm going to take 1 person from here, 2 person from here,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit difficult, Sha, the way you're explaining it, because the first IT you go as a national diploma student is after your ND1. And at that point in time, you've not really, it's just like sending a first year student to go on IT. What does he know about architecture? You only did introduction to architecture and maybe graphics, and you've not even started using a computer. And I'm very sure that no firm will want to take you.
They want to achieve with the IT.
You can still learn something.
It all depends on what the school wants you to learn. Achieve with that.
Because it was during my IT that I actually started learning AutoCAD and how to use SketchUp and modeling.
Yes, there's a reason why they fixed that IT.
So if you go to a firm, the goal of the IT should be met.
Yes.
For you to learn to do more, yeah.
Within that 3 months.
Yeah.
If it's to lay block,
You go there and learn how to lay block in 3
Even
months.
people that have not been to architecture school, if you keep them in an architecture office, they are going to learn a thing or two. So it's not about, nobody was born with architectural brain.
It's just about the acceptance.
Yes.
Apply and then hope that you will be accepted into the firm.
Yes. So please, that is it for this episode, this edition. You have heard all we have to say. And please, if you have not subscribed or followed our channel, both on Spotify and on YouTube, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please do well to subscribe. Not only subscribing, turn on the notifications so you always get notified. We drop content, we drop this podcast every Friday. Okay? So you get more insight like this. Content upon content. Yeah. So you get more insight like this so you are informed in things like this. So you don't make mistake that at the end of the day, when you are done after, I think 5 years in the Polytechnic, you now realize that you are not going to be an architect. And it's
wanted to be an architect.
It's a thing of, it's not a thing of joy. It's a thing of anger and anguish. So when something like this happens now, the person will now swear that they will be quacks. Because, and we don't want you to be quacks. All right. So thank you very much for watching this video or listening to today's podcast. Okay, wherever you are. And we are going to see you in the next one.